Welcome to the channel, viewers. Dr. JW, theologist on the Count Straight YouTube channel. Also, I run the Pro Bricky Facebook page as well. We're going into Covert Female Narcissism, episode 26, when you started feeling trapped inside the relationship. Viewers, love should not make escape feel more terrifying than the pain itself. And at first, leaving the covert female narcissist still felt possible. Painful, complicated, but possible. You still believed clarity would eventually become stronger than confusion. And that one day, the emotional exhaustion would outweigh the attachment holding you to the covert female narcissist. But slowly something changed. The relationship stopped feeling emotionally painful in a way you could simply walk away from. It started feeling psychologically inescapable. Not because you stopped recognizing the damage, but because your nervous system became emotionally entangled with the same atmosphere slowly harming you. That is where the covert female narcissistic abuse becomes existentially consuming. The hallway feels unusually quiet tonight. Her attention drifts towards the glow of another conversation. A softness enters her voice you have not fully felt directed toward you in months. And your body notices that immediately. And somewhere underneath the silence, the fear starts tightening again. Not only fear of losing her, the covert female narcissist, but fear of what remains of you if you finally let her go. And that contradiction traps men psychologically because covert narcissistic conditioning often creates emotional captivity through intermittent warmth, emotional starvation, seductive re-engagement, admiration instability, triangulation undercurrents, emotional withdrawal, hope interruption, and attachment recapture, but not constantly. Strategically enough for the nervous system to keep emotionally reinvesting before separation fully forms. So every time clarity rises, the warmth returns. Every time exhaustion deepens, the connection softens again. Such is the way in which the covert female narcissist works. And every time your body starts preparing emotionally to leave, something inside the relationship pulls your nervous system back towards hope again, and it's called a trauma bond. Viewers, love should not make emotional suffering feel safer than emotional separation. But with the covert female narcissist, eventually it does. Especially when the atmosphere keeps training your nervous system to associate separation with abandonment, emotional emptiness, failure, replacement, humiliation, and unbearable withdrawal. And this is covert female narcissistic captivity. Because eventually the relationship no longer survives through love alone. It survives through nervous system dependency, brilliantly created by the covert female narcissists and the way in which they navigate men. And somewhere underneath all the emotional exhaustion, another underlay keeps quietly bleeding through the atmosphere, through the relationship. The fear that her emotional energy already belongs partly outside the relationship itself. The admiration, hunger never feels settled. The engagement drift never fully stops. The subtle emotional stimulation from elsewhere keeps destabilizing the bond underneath the surface. In your body and mind, you existentially feel it constantly. You notice how quickly her energy shifts from you towards validation from somewhere else. How emotionally alive attention can suddenly make the covert female narcissist. How emotionally distant the relationship becomes whenever admiration no longer flows toward her strongly enough. And that inconsistently slowly destroys emotional safety internally, inside of men. Because your nervous system never fully knows when warmth will disappear, when distance will return, when engagement will drift outward again, when emotional withdrawal will restart. So you adapt again and again and again. You stay longer than your clarity wants to. You negotiate with pain longer than your body can sustain comfortability. You keep hoping emotional consistency will finally arrive if you love carefully enough. And then the chair creaks softly in the dark. You sit there longer than necessary after the conversation ends. Your body already feels trapped before your mind fully admits it. And that matters, because eventually covert female narcissistic abuse creates a psychological prison without visible walls. No chains, no locked doors. And yet your nervous system feels unable to fully leave the same atmosphere, slowly consuming it. Viewers, love should not make captivity feel emotionally safer than freedom. But with the covert female narcissist, eventually it does. And for the men involved in these relationships, that is the catastrophic part. Not merely that the relationship hurts, wounds, erodes, and even causes personal catastrophe, but that your nervous system slowly becomes terrified of both staying and leaving simultaneously. So the relationship becomes psychological paralysis. And somewhere inside all that exhaustion, you slowly stop asking, why can't I leave? And start realizing something far more devastating. Part of your nervous system no longer remembers what emotional safety outside the relationship with the covert female narcissist would even feel like anymore. I'm Dr. JWA, theologist since 1994. Like, subscribe, share, comment to educate me. Press the bell if you like the content, and I'll see you in the next video.